Bless up, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Heal.Thy.Man.Chronicles. My name is Paul Newell, author of Heal.Thy.Man Method, group facilitator, men's health and well-being guide, and I'm coming to you with another live for my guys. And want to first shout out to my guy, Corey Cutler. Bless up to you, my guy, Corey. You know, you the dude, man. That's my guy. And reason why I'm bringing him up is we recently were down in New Orleans Jazz Fest. So you probably noticed in that last video I was in a different setting. So we were down in Jazz Fest, and Corey and I, for as long as I've known him, it's been a minute. We always have great conversations, and we were just random talking while we were in New Orleans, and we talked about the concept, or Corey introduced the concept of default setting or factory reset. Now, when Corey talked about this, I was like, damn, bro, like that is hitting right now. So whenever I have an idea, whenever I get inspired, this is when I create these YouTube lives. And, I get some assistance from the Chat GPT as far as framework, but like I started putting in the concepts around my thoughts and ideas around default setting versus factory reset. And it really was interesting what came up, because I noticed that there is a specific distinction between the two. And if you're a person, and you could tell maybe you're living on a default setting, or maybe you've taken time to hit the reset button and return to who you are before you realize that you were being programmed, or when you realize you're being programmed. And I think it's important for us to first create what's the differences between the two. What's up, my man, Andrew? Bless up to you. And I want to tap into first the default setting. And the default setting is the version of yourself that's been shaped by survival, stress, or external expectations, or even past experiences. Now, this is conditioning, right? This is, hey, like, you learn something from your dad, you learn something from your big brother, you learn something in school. Those become a default setting. Factory reset, though. This is a stripped down, truth-centered version of yourself. Before any trauma, before any conditioning, shame, or even burnout took over. That's the difference between two. So again, default setting is things that a version of yourself that's been shaped. So you default to that. Factory reset is when you go to the base model of and basically who you are. Now, this live, I'm going to really focus in about when, why, and how we hit the internal reset button. And the first part of this is looking at the cost of living on default. And to be clear here, default isn't neutral. It's familiar. Okay? Default isn't neutral, it's familiar. When you're on default, you react instead of respond. When you're on default, you settle instead of create. On default, you perform instead of express. Okay? Here's some examples of defaults of being in that default. You're a people pleaser. I can relate to this one big time, right? You're a people pleaser. I hustle, or you hustle without vision. You numb out your emotions either through drinks, recreational goodies, whatever it is, you numb yourself. And you tolerate relationships or routines that fail to nourish you. Now, again, the default often feels safe, but the thing to recognize, my guys, is that it's actually keeping you stuck. Listen, and this is for everybody. This is something I recognize even when I was writing the Heal.Thy.Man Method. I have a chapter in there about knowing your patterns and habits. Because the thing is when I step into that default, these are just conditioned programs and habits rather than coming back to my true self. Now now that we looked at the default, let's look at what the reset looks like, right? So now the reset is returning to core values, returning to your natural rhythm. Recently, I just learned about this thing called the soul key, or gene keys. Bless up to Kelly Jory for introducing me to that. Bless up and thank you. So like I'm learning, I'm like, dang, this thing is identifying areas that I never even thought like I could express. It was bananas. And the beautiful thing was it felt when I was hearing the messages from the gene keys, or like I'm calling it my soul code. It just felt like a reset. Like, oh wow, okay, there I am. And when we talk about the factory reset, it's not about going back in time. It's about coming back to alignment. And what this can look like is really reevaluating your goals, right? This can also look like releasing identities that no longer fit you. This can also look like you shift habits that were created under pressure or under trauma or under whatever circumstances where you felt you had to survive. So a reset often requires that you grieve an old operating system. And if you go back, I think it was probably about a month ago, I had a video on upgrades. Right? So this is all synchronous. So a reset means there's all these operating systems that you're working with. What is the way that you create a new program for yourself? How do you operate differently than you have before? Or like I said, how do you operate in a way that's aligned to who you truly are? So here I got some things to rock with, right? So one of the things we're going to do here is I'm going to share this screen because we want to start looking at where the realms where men can reset. So I put some slides together for us. And what this is going to show here, and hold on one second, let me just take one thing off. What this is going to show here are the different realms where men can reset. So let's take a look at this, right? So first off is the mental piece. When I say the mental, some of the defaults here that we look at, this is when we have racing thoughts, right? Like, so from a mental, let's look at it, stepping back for a second, looking at this from a mental health perspective. It is Mental Health Month after all, when this video is being recorded. So the default setting or conditioning is to have racing thoughts, to be in self-doubt, to overthink things. When we reset to our settings, our factory settings, we become clear, we become focused, we learn to direct thoughts with intention. Looking at this from the emotional health standpoint, okay? From the emotional health standpoint, when we go to that default setting, we go to a numbness. This is where people can go to like addictions or things that will in the moment feel good, or they'll suppress feelings or experiences. Not even just feelings, they'll suppress experiences. Something good happens to them, I'm not really sharing it. Like one of the things, quick story, I was in a circle, it was a couple months ago actually, and I shared this prompt like, hey, what's something that you want to clear? What's something that you want to celebrate? And what's something that you want to create? I noticed that it was very difficult for the men in the group to celebrate something. So this is an example of suppressing, and this can also be outbursts. When we have our reset, when we have our factory reset, we come back to what it means to feel full. We come back to identifying, okay, I'm experiencing this, and there is an emotional integrating of the past. So this is where we can start to really let that flow. Now, when we come to the physical health, this is where we look at from a standpoint of, what the heck is that? Oh, I don't need that. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm just going to leave that there. I don't know how that timer got there. Either way, from the physical standpoint, physical health standpoint, this is where we look at our default setting is exhaustion. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. Our default setting is ignoring our body because we fail to really have any education most of the time on what it means to truly take care of our specific body. And then also we can go into addictive cycles, very similar to what can happen in the emotional space. But when we move from this place of having we reset to factory standards or factory settings, we restore what our strength is. We connect with our bodies as far as movement, and food becomes nourishment, or in this case, fuel. So rather than eating to stuff or to have these to cover things, We're using food as a mechanism to nourish ourselves, to advance ourselves. From a relationship standpoint, the default is surface level connections. Like from a dude's perspective, it's like, hey man, you see what happens with the Knicks last night? Yeah, that first 2 games, man, they were rocking, they made it. Then they got blown out. Like, okay, great. We have a conversation around that or the weather or some sort of seat at Home Depot, but really failed to have those conversations about what's really happening in your life that's challenging you, what's something that you want to celebrate or clear. Now, this can also lead to things like approval seeking and codependency. But then from a reset standpoint, this is where we can look at what's happening for me and how can I authentically communicate that? What are the ways that I rule myself, and who are the people that I'm aligned with that fuel me, that really make me go or help me go as I do for them. Now, from a spiritual perspective, this is where the default connect, like from a default perspective, we're disconnected from our spirit. We're chasing something that it has no reward. But when we reset, this is when we realign with what the reason we're here, like very much like how I got in contact with the gene keys. So realigning with our mission, realigning with our truth. As I mentioned before, like men, we get to create. And what the heck does that even look like, man? What? So like when I say that, I think it's important that, we have these spaces that we can always come to and start to look at what are those places and realms where we can really get a reset. And what are the ways that we initiate a reset? Well, I have a slide for that too. Damn it. Yep, I do. Here it is. Boom, bip. All right, so what do we do to reset? We pause and reflect. The pause and reflection right here is really key. Like when I was thinking about this, I was like, what's the kind of question that I could ask here? But like the best one to ask is, what's on autopilot right now? I mean, it could be anything. It could be the way you even go to work, how you do work. That could be autopilot. Are you really extracting and getting the gems that you want to out of it? Or are you just going through the motions? Another way to initiate the reset is to ask questions like, who am I without performing? Remember what I talked about before with default settings, right? It's a performance rather than expression. So what am I without that performing? Like what do I want to express that I'm failing to? Another way is get support. Like one of the things that I provide is mentorship, programming. We do group facilitations. And these are the spaces like, and also for me, man, when I get support, I got coaches, man. I got coaches to help me out. I got a men's group that I'm connected to. I lead men's circles. I'm a part of organizations that support men. Listen, those are all places where I get support. Be free of trying to do it alone, my guys. It makes no sense, and it's gonna make it. You're gonna be ice skating uphill. This is one of the ones with we're initiating reset. Like I'm not as consistent. I'm getting better with it, especially with the meditations. But like taking walks, like being out in nature, being still, writing, creating, drawing, sketching, like whatever that is, like, or even just taking a pause to notice what I'm like, have a sensory experience. What do I smell? What do I see? What do I hear? So being able to look at things from that perspective. And then the next one that you could do is let go to grow. Look, when you come back to a factory reset, a lot of the stuff that you do or have done will fail to align. So that could be, like it mentions, that could be some habits, that could be relationships, that could be mindsets, my guys, my peoples. So we get to look at that. These are all the ways that we got to really step our game up and look at, what are the things that we get to let go of? Because when it comes down to it, those are the things that really have been part of what's held us back. So really looking at that and having a good idea of what that can look like or what that means for you. And as we wrap up here, the main thing that I want us to reflect on is, and it's something I had to write down. You could be free of blowing up your life to reset your system. The main thing that you get to look at is stop pretending that your default setting is working for you. That default setting, that thing that you come back to, those conditioning, those habits, that may be the thing that is keeping you stuck. Okay? So come back to the factory reset. Come back to who you are. Find out what that is for you. And listen, if you're ready for, drop a thumbs up if you're ready for a reset. Like, hey, drop it. And if this message is hitting for you, like, share, subscribe, share with another dude that may be going through some stuff right now. Maybe it's share with you like, yo, I feel stuck. And if your dude's watching this, like, what's an area where you want to do a reset? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? Is it relational? Or is it spiritual? Take the opportunity out and figure that out for yourself. And listen, while you're doing that, if need be, what you can do is you can always go and get the book, my friends. Nope. I have no listen, I'm figuring this out too. There's a lot of things I've learned that as I learn, as I learn, I integrate, then I teach and guide. Learn, integrate, teach, guide. Learn, integrate, teach, guide. That's my guy, Rob Dan. What's up, baby? My guy. Bless up, bless up, bless. Good morning, my brother. Good morning, my brother. So listen, everybody, thank you for showing up and being a part of this. Again, like, share, subscribe. And again, what's one of the areas you're going to reset? Claim that jump and get after it. Until next time, my peoples.